Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my follow-up video on Tati's drama. But I am not a drama channel. If you guys want to see all about the real drama, there's a lot of channels available on YouTube for that, and I have nothing against drama channels. I will honestly admit that I do watch them sometimes and they do entertain me, but this is not what I am all about here on this channel. This is where we talk about science and evidence-based facts. If you watch my last video, I said to some of you guys that I would do a follow-up video. I think that this will be the last video I will do about this story because honestly, we'll just have to move on. At the end of the day, it's her company, it's her product, it's what she believes in. We'll just have to see where it goes with that. At the end of the day, there's so much we can say about it, but it's her life, right? I'm also going to put timestamps down below because I feel that this video will be way too long. So if you guys want to skip right on to another section of this video, well, please just feel free to do that. The timestamps will be down below. But before we get into Tati's product, I want to clarify a few things for you guys that I think it's important. First of all, let me thank you guys. I read every single comment that you made on my last video, and I honestly very appreciate your kind support, your amazing words. That really meant a lot for me. I never felt that people were that interested in science with beauty up until Tati came along. One of the good things that Tati's product brought out is that she actually opened people's eyes to how vitamin blends are regulated and what kind of claims you can make. The purpose of this channel is actually to inform people. No matter what kind of decision you make, whether it is to buy her product or not, I want people to be informed and know the pros and cons of the product or any product on the market and decide for himself or herself if the product is good for you and if it's worth it to buy it, because let's be honest, it's a lot of money to spend. Even if you can't afford it, I think it's important to know what's inside the product to know if you can take it or not. And a few people actually commented on my video saying, well, it's only vitamins. Why are you guys so offended and so upset that she's selling that kind of product when a lot of companies come out with vitamins and no one cares? Why can't we be open to the idea that vitamins can actually have interaction and that we should be more aware of what we put in our body? I know the regulations are lacking right now and they are very lax, but that doesn't mean that we as consumers cannot ask intelligent questions about what we put in our body and what it can do to our bodies. What really played against her, against Tati, is that she's already a famous YouTuber. She has 4 million subscribers and she's putting her face out there, her name out there for a product that has no clinical evidence that it works. The majority of her consumers will be her subscribers. I think that's where all the backlash comes from. She's already famous and a lot of subscribers felt they were being ripped off and they were being lied to because she was not totally transparent in her launch video, which upset a lot of people, and I do totally understand why. I rewatched her launch video that she posted on Wednesday and she never ever mentioned to talk to a healthcare professional in that video. She never ever mentioned any warnings and precaution that you should have with her product, like if you're breastfeeding or nursing or whatever. She never did that. She only addressed concerns with her product in her response video posted last Monday, which is actually 4 days after her launch video. She officially marketed her product on Friday, but between Friday and Monday, a few people could have bought her product based on what she said in her Wednesday's video only, which I find is not acceptable because yes, it's only vitamins, but you're still putting something in your body, and I want people to stop saying that, to stop thinking, well, it's only vitamins, we don't care about the interaction. It's so untrue. Stop thinking that because it's natural, it's okay. It is not. For example, a lot of people said down below that they were taking St. John's wort. Well, that product is actually prescribed in Europe because it has the same mechanism of action than your typical antidepressant drug. But in Canada and US, it's a natural health product, so it's not prescribed. You can actually buy it on your own, but it can have serious interaction in your body if you're not careful. I want people to stop thinking that it's natural, it's only vitamins, that you don't need to know about the regulation, you don't need to know about how claims work in that industry. I want people to become more aware of what they put on their skin, inside their body, on their hair, or whatever, and I want people to make an informed decision. I am not here to bully Tati whatsoever. Few people said that I didn't know what I was talking about, that I should leave Tati alone. I am not here to bully her. I'm not here to call her names. I am not here to be disrespectful towards her or her work. I do appreciate the fact that she decided to come out with her own brand and become CEO of her own company, which is really, really impressive. But that doesn't mean that I cannot judge her product or evaluate her product based on what it is available in the literature and as clinical evidence. I think in my last video, I tried to be fair, I tried to be respectful. I did talk about my own opinion. I said that I was not going to buy her vitamins, but that is my own personal choice based on what I know and what I believe in. But at the end of the day, it's your own choice. You decide to take whatever you want to take, but I want people to be informed. If you decide to buy her vitamins, know what it's inside, know if it's worth it, and know if you need it. Do not only believe the words of a beauty guru or YouTuber or any famous personality. Do not believe what Kim Kardashian tells you with her gummy bears. Do not believe what Gwyneth Paltrow says on her Goop website. It's not because it's on the shelves that it works. She has clinical trial on one ingredient out of how many ingredients that she has in her product. The ingredients in her product could interact with each other or could actually support each other to work better, but we do not know because we do not have any evidence. Some people try to discredit my knowledge and my expertise, I would say. Some people said that I didn't look like a scientist, that I didn't have any advanced studies in natural health medicines. I do have a scientific background. If you didn't watch my last video, I have a bachelor in pharmacology. Pharmacology is the study of the effects of a drug in the body and how the body reacts to the drug. Even if I studied mainly drugs, I also studied vitamins and natural healthcare products because at the end of the day, in your body, you have a certain number of receptors, different receptors that do different things in your body. Even if you're ingesting a drug or another compound, they will have to interact with some sort of receptor in your body to have an effect, either beneficial effect or negative effect. The science behind it's pretty much the same. In my last video, I talked a lot about the regulation with the FDA and Health Canada because I also have a postgraduate diploma in drugs development with a specialty in regulatory affairs, and I also have what we call a RAC, a RAC. It is a regulatory affairs certification given by the Regulatory Affairs Professional Society, and it's a certification recognized internationally about regulatory affairs. I also did some lab research when I studied the effects of BPA on pregnant women and its impacts on the kids of these pregnant women from birth up until 5 years old. And I am also the second author of a published peer-reviewed scientific article that studied the gastrointestinal survival of different strains of probiotics in different commercial products. As regulatory affairs specialist, I am well qualified to talk about regulations. For people who try to discredit me, better luck next time. So let's talk about her response video quickly. So I saw her video, I saw her whole 52 minutes video, and I honestly do not feel that she addressed every questions, which I think it's very unfortunate, but she did address some other concerns, which I also appreciate. She said that she was FDA GMP. GMP is for good manufacturing practices. For vitamins companies, it is a recommendation to follow good manufacturing practices. These are not legally enforceable responsibilities that companies have to follow. Unlike for drug companies, pharmaceuticals have to. It is mandatory to follow GMP regulations, and these are separate GMPs that pharmaceuticals have to follow. The GMPs for pharmaceuticals are more strict. For vitamins, you're not forced to follow every single thing in the GMPs, and for some of the GMP criteria, you can actually send a letter asking a waiver, so asking FDA to not follow this regulation because of this and this reason. One of the GMP criteria is that whenever someone enters the facility, they have to put some gloves, they have to remove their jewelry, they have to cover their hair and all of that. It has to be super clean, and that is true. It's one of the GMP criteria. But honestly, I feel that for her, it's almost like you have to expect that at least. She's a famous YouTuber. She manufactures in the United States. She lives in the United States. The least you can expect from her product is that it's clean. I feel that she made a big thing with that, but I feel that's the least she could have done to provide a clean, safe product to her subscribers. If she really follows FDA GMP guidelines to the letter, she will have to report serious adverse event. It is actually mandatory. And when I say serious adverse event, it's not something that you would consider serious. Of course, there is a definition for that, and I will read it to you guys here. It's in the guideline. This law defines serious adverse events as those adverse events that result in death, a life-threatening experience, an inpatient hospitalization, a persistent or significant disability or incapacity, or a congenital anomaly or birth defect, or that require medical or surgical intervention to prevent such serious outcomes. So if you do have a serious adverse event, then you will have to report it. However, she's not required to report product complaints. They do suggest that they have a document inside the company where they say how these adverse events or complaints should be handled internally. But other than serious adverse events, she's not required to report them to the FDA. I saw another questions from a lot of consumers who asked why she didn't have any product return policy. Some of those people said that it was because of hygienic reasons, and people already use that product and it was not great to have it back. And I do understand that reasoning. However, as per the FDA GMP guidance for dietary supplements, she is allowed to have the product bring back to her facility. The only thing is that the product that is returned has to be quarantined until her quality control department have the time to evaluate and assess the product. So you are actually allowed to salvage a product if quality control assess the product, assess the return product, and say that it's okay. So if the return product still meets the specification that she previously established with her team, for example, heavy metals and microbiological quality, if the return product meets all the specification, her quality control team can actually say, yes, we can actually use the product. So she could have a product return policy if she wanted to. I saw also that she said in her response video that a lot of people base themselves on WebMD and they saw could and would for her saw palmetto ingredient, and that she was not agreeing that people were taking sentences like that. Her product could cause something or would cause something, and that I will have to really disagree with her on that, because with vitamins, supplements, with natural healthcare products, with homeopathic products, it's very hard to actually say that an ingredient can or will have an effect because we do not have at the moment enough clinical evidence to say so. To be able to say that a product can, will do something, you have to prove it. Even in Health Canada or FDA websites, they will use these terms because we just do not know for 100%. It shows that she doesn't have the science knowledge to say something like that. If you're in science, you will realize a lot of clinical trials will say would, could, because we just don't know. That wording is actually important. So that actually a little bit was an issue for me in her response video, so I just wanted to clear that up. I went through also her clinical trial with her Ceramide RX. Now I have to remind you guys, she doesn't have any clinical trials for her whole product, so we don't know if the whole product that she's marketing is actually working. She has clinical trial with one ingredient. Some of you guys have been nice enough to share the clinical trial for me because I was looking for it. In that document, they were referring to a clinical study done in humans in 33 subjects. So I went to see that. I cannot be 100% sure that the product in that clinical trial is actually the ingredient that she put in her formula, but from what I understood it was. And if it's not that clinical trial, please gently tell me down below and I will review another clinical trial if that's not the right one. I will actually link the study down below so you guys can read it if you're interested. That study was done in 33 subjects. It is double-blinded and placebo-controlled. So I thought it was really important to explain a few terms for you guys. So whenever a science person look for clinical trials, they will look for double-blind, placebo-controlled trials, and after when they are published, they have to be peer-reviewed articles. So double-blind is actually when the patient and the physician, the investigator, both of them do not know what the patient is actually taking. So if I'm the patient, I do not know if I have the active pill or a placebo. A placebo is basically a sugar pill. That sugar pill have to be identical to the active pill. So if your product that you're studying is a round orange tablet with black spots on it, then your placebo pill has to be a round orange tablet with black dots on it. And it has to be the same size, identical 100%, so the patient does not know which one he is actually taking. So if I am the patient and I know which pill I have, I might have some expectation for the product to work because I know that I'm taking the active ingredient. And same thing for the physician. We do not want him to treat the patient differently because he knows what product his patient got. We want the same treatment for all patients, and we want the patients to have the same expectation. The placebo effect can actually affect up to 1 out of 3 people. We can actually see that a lot with pain studies. They will have a pain topical cream that you put on your arm, for example. They will induce a mild pain. They will apply the cream. They will tell you that this cream has an active ingredient and that it will help you and everything. They will evaluate the pain sensation of the patient. A lot of times we will see that even though the cream has no active ingredient, the patient will actually feel some sort of relief and pain reduction associated to the placebo effect. In his mind, the product is active and will work, and therefore he feels less pain. And that is why we're doing double-blind placebo control, to be able to compare the product with the effect of a placebo. The overall effect of your product should be better than the overall effect of the placebo. When I read the clinical trial, I mean, it was good, it was double-blinded, it was placebo-controlled, but it was only in 33 patients. So that's not a lot of patients, of course, and I'm not sure that it could be statistically significant. And when I went to look into the results, you could see a definite effect of placebo, because people who took the placebo did see some sort of effect, some sort of positive effects. The results were pretty close, I would say. In the study, they were only saying that the product was better than the placebo, but they did not say if it was statistically significant or not. So there's a difference between saying that you see a significant improvement when you use your active pill versus the placebo, and saying that you see a statistically significant improvement. There's the word statistically there, and there's a reason it is there, and I'm not going to go into details because I will probably bore you, because I have to be honest, statistics were never my favorite course. Just to let you know that when you evaluate the results for a clinical trial, you have to call a statistician, and he will calculate, of course, the statistics, and he will actually reject or approve your null hypothesis. So the null hypothesis is the assumption that nothing has changed. It's the default assumption that your product didn't work. So his job is to prove with the result that you provided that your product actually worked, and that you have to reject the null hypothesis. And after he does all his calculation, you can then say that your product is statistically better than the placebo. Next thing is I researched all of her ingredients. What I did is I went into PubMed and I searched peer review scientific articles, and I also went into what we call the Natural Medicines Comprehensive Database, and this is a database that my husband, who is a licensed pharmacist, uses on a daily basis when he has questions about natural healthcare products. And that database is not financed privately. You have to have a monthly subscription with the database. You pay around $20 Canadian every month, and you have access to the whole database. And with that subscription fees, that is how the database is funded. Everything that is written and researched in that database comes from healthcare professionals. They are either pharmacists, licensed pharmacists, or physicians, and they are also clinical physicians, and they base themselves on what is published currently in the literature and kind of science-based evidence that we're looking for. I have to say that most of her ingredients do not have enough clinical evidence to say that they work. Some of her ingredients have studies in cells and animals, and there's a potential effect that we could see. A lot of times how it works in animals and how it works in humans, it's not the same. One of the ingredients that people were actually wondering a lot about is biotin, and there is insufficient reliable evidence for brittle nails. So some preliminary evidence shows that biotin 2.5 milligrams daily orally for 1.5 to 15 months increases the thickness and decreases the splitting of fingernails and toenails in people with brittle nails. More clinical studies are needed. Biotin and alpha lipoic acid, ALA, which is also in her formula, share the same transporter, which is called the sodium-dependent multivitamin transporter, SMVT. Now, in theory, this could mean that both of these compounds could be in competition for the same transporter. In theory, this may reduce biotin or ALA absorption due to competitive inhibition. A lot of people ask me about saw palmetto. I didn't find any clinical evidence that saw palmetto could actually interact with your birth control pills. Now, if you did find any evidence of that, please feel free to share that down below in the comments down below, and I will gladly look at it. Saw palmetto is likely unsafe for pregnant and nursing women because it has hormonal activity. There are some studies of saw palmetto in patients with androgenic alopecia. Androgenic alopecia is caused mainly in men because of the androgenic hormones that they have. So you know, when men have this M-shaped balding on their head, that is usually caused by androgenic alopecia. In women, it's more rare, but it can happen. But for women, it's usually not the M shape. It's more of an overall balding that you will see. There's actually contradictory results with this ingredient for androgenic alopecia. However, saw palmetto could affect bleeding times. If you use it with other herbs or supplements that affect platelet aggregation, you have to be careful because it could increase the risk of bleeding in some people. So example, if you use saw palmetto with natural health products or herb supplements like clove, garlic, ginkgo, panax ginseng, angelica, it could have an interaction. So talk to your healthcare professional for that. One of the ingredients that I found that could have an effect on wrinkled skin is astaxanthin. There's some preliminary clinical evidence that suggests that 2 to 3 milligrams daily, orally, 2 times a day for 6 weeks could improve elasticity, fine lines, wrinkles, and skin moisture in middle-aged women and men, but more data is actually needed. One of her ingredients is the catalase enzyme. It hasn't been proven that this ingredient can actually go through your body and have an effect, because most enzymes, if you take it orally, will actually disintegrate in your body. Your body will metabolize the enzymes usually, and it won't be able to have an effect on your body. One of her other ingredients, vitamin B6, some studies showed that injectable vitamin B6 could reduce hair loss, especially in alopecia, but there's no evidence for oral B6. And a lot of times IV products and oral products do not have the same mechanism of action and do not have the same side effects and do not have the same results. So she is a pill. We have some evidence for injectable product. We need more evidence on oral products, and especially her whole product. That is everything that I want to talk about in my follow-up video. It's a very long video, I am very sure of that. So if you guys stayed till the end, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any other concerns or questions, please feel free to write them down in the comments down below. I will definitely be doing other science and beauty videos. I will be doing beauty videos only and science video and all of that. Try to mix everything together. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it answered a few questions a little bit more. And really, I hope I was able to be respectful towards her and her work again. I'm not here to bully her. I'm not here to bash her in any shape or form. She was even suggesting to give her constructive criticism, so that is absolutely what I'm doing here. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you like this video, please thumbs it up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!